Facebook, what are you doing? Facebook, what are you doing? My God. Why are you being stupid? Hello everyone, Adrienne here. So today I am going to be answering your guys' questions that you have left on my Instagram and on my personal Facebook page, and I figured it was about time that we do a Q&A video. Because what the hell, I like interacting with you guys, and I love answering your questions. It's really cool. So here we go. So the first question that I have here is from Instagram, from Blue Skates, I think. And they ask, how are you doing today? I'm doing pretty well. I had a good protein-loaded breakfast, I had coffee, I'm making videos, and I have a voice lesson later on today, so I feel fantastic. Thank you for asking. Of Sable Minds asks, what made you get into goth culture? It's kind of hard to say. My mom is what I would describe as kind of darkly inclined, but not necessarily goth. She brought my brother and I up on dark shadows and classic horror movies, and she encouraged my brother and I to read at a really young age, and we just naturally gravitated toward those kind of dark interests. And then my mom also loves Tim Burton, and it was later on when I discovered, oh hey, there's an entire subculture based on all of these things that I love. So that's basically how I got into it. I would basically say that literature was my entry point into the subculture. So yeah, there we go. Okay, so Broken's Art asks, you like classical music, what type of art do you like and who's your favorite artist? Well, first of all, Broken's Art has done several portraits of me on her Instagram page, and I'm always just so impressed with that. So I'm very much blown away by your talent. You are absolutely incredible. My favorite one by you is probably the one inspired by Lucia de Lammermoor, that I had the knife and I had blood on my face and all that. That was gorgeous. Oh my god. Anyway, so yes, obviously you guys know I do like classical music. My favorite era and movement of classical music happens to be the bel canto movement, which is a movement that started out in Italy in, I would say, the early 19th century and lasted until 1870s, sort of, kind of thing. And then my second favorite movement of classical music would be the French Impressionistic era, or Romantic era. So those are the kinds of genres that I prefer when it comes to classical music. I don't really favor much that comes out of the 18th century, but I do like some of the 17th century stuff, Bach and Brahms and, oh goodness, what's his name? Handel, Purcell, those sort of guys. And yes, I hate Mozart. Okay, I'm sorry, but I hate Mozart. And here's why. I find his music incredibly repetitive and redundant, and the subject matter of most of his operas just don't really have that much substance, in my opinion. So that's why I gravitate more toward the bel canto movement, which, you know, bel canto in Italian means beautiful voice or beautiful singing. And the reason why it was named as such is because that movement was dedicated to bringing out the best qualities of the voice. And my favorite composer of that movement and of all time is Donizetti, so he's the reason why I'm still singing. Now, in regard to favorite artists that I like, I can name 3 modern ones that I absolutely adore. First of all, Joseph Vargo is my absolute favorite modern artist that I very much love. His artwork is absolutely beautiful and morbid and really stark and striking, and I love the way that he does his gargoyles. And then another one of my favorite artists is Anne Stokes, and she does a lot of fantasy and gothic kind of artwork, and it's really absolutely beautiful, and I love the feminine quality that she brings to her artwork. And then the last artist that I really love, who is a modern artist, is Victoria Francis, which she's a Spanish artist, and she also does a lot of Gothic themed artwork, but she's very much focused in the Victorian era as far as her artwork goes, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Okay, so Chandler the Changing Man asks, what are goth books you would recommend? Well, I highly recommend most anything from the 19th century. If it's by Edgar Allan Poe, like the complete works of Edgar Allan Poe, absolutely. I definitely recommend that. I'd recommend the complete works of Alfred Lord Tennyson. Definitely Charles Baudelaire. You cannot get away from Charles Baudelaire, because he's awesome. Anything by Louisa May Alcott that leans more toward the dark side, because that's fascinating. And then from the 18th century, I'd recommend The Monk by Matthew Gregory Lewis, and then any novels that you can get your paws on by Anne Radcliffe, because wow, she is so underrated and awesome. She's great. Chloe's Normie asks, what is your favorite instrument? The cello, hands down. However, a pipe organ comes in as a close second. And I actually do play the cello, I just have not played in a while because I've been focusing a lot more on my voice training. That's my forte, pardon the pun. Alexis Shadows asks, what's the first Gothic book you ever read? Oh boy, we're going way back in time, aren't we? Oh lord. I would have to say it was either Frankenstein by Mary Shelley or it was Bram Stoker's Dracula. I can't remember which it was because I read them both when I was in 5th grade when I was really getting into Gothic literature as a whole. So I'm really not sure, guys. I think after that point I moved on to Edgar Allan Poe, but I think that was my introduction to Gothic literature. Rachel Shade, hi. Hi honey, how you doing? Rachel Shade asks, what makes you laugh? Oh god. It really just depends on the situation. I like a lot of dry humor, particularly British dry humor, so Blackadder just makes me lose my mind. I also am fond of 90s sitcoms like Seinfeld and Wings, which is a lesser known kind of sitcom from the 90s. Oh my god, that show was so funny. Also really like hilarious kind of slapstick and dry deadpan kind of movies with that kind of humor. And I also like a lot of morbid humor. That being said, since I like slapstick, I do like, I don't know why, but I think it's really funny when people get hurt, especially if they're doing something really stupid. It's just like, dude, you deserve that, okay? I also like puns and double entendres and certain types of innuendos. You have to be careful what kind of innuendo it is, so that sort of thing makes me laugh a lot. And sometimes what will happen is I will think of something really funny and just bust out laughing and I won't be able to get control of myself. And I'll just be thinking about it for the next like hour or so and just keep giggling. Sometimes I just think funny things. Yeah, so that's what I've got. So Otaka's Dream asks, if you could live in any of the Gothic novels you have read so far, which one would you live in and why? Also, if you could have a drink of absinthe with any Gothic author, who would it be? Alright, that's a really awesome question. Actually, 2 awesome questions. So as far as the world that I would live in when Gothic novels are concerned, I think my favorite one that I would want to live in is Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. So, admittedly, Phantom of the Opera is a fantastic story. It just was in the hands of an author who really did not know exactly what to do with it. However, that being said, the reason why I chose Phantom of the Opera, for one thing, it takes place in late 19th century France, so during the Belle Epoque movement of France, and you had a lot of revolutionary ideas and new concepts of classical music, and, you know, lots of new architecture, like the Eiffel Tower is popping around in Paris, and oh my god, the Opera Garnier in Paris is to die for. Oh lord. Oh, gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. If you guys have a minute, look up the Opera Garnier in Paris and look at pictures of it. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. Now, as far as question number 2, what Gothic author would I like to have a glass of absinthe with? I think that's a no-brainer. I think I would definitely go with Charles Baudelaire. Well, for one thing, he was just such a groundbreaking poet of his time and just so rebellious, and oh man, he was a genius. He really broke the barriers. You know what I mean? He really broke the barriers. And I'd like to have a glass of absinthe with him, first of all, because he's one of the most famous absinthe drinkers of all time, and he had a really unique perspective of the world and had really impeccable taste. So I'd love to get into his brain, especially when absinthe is involved. Okay, so Crimson Raven asks, if you have to decide only one Gothic novel as your favorite, which one would it be? Also, name one favorite Gothic poem. That's really hard. The first one, not the second one. I would have to say my favorite Gothic novel that I have ever read, if I had to pick one, would have to be The Italian by Anne Radcliffe. Oh lord. That story was just packed with so much action and drama and romance and, you know, a thrill a minute kind of thing hanging on the edge of your seat. I absolutely loved it. And name one Gothic poem. Le Revenant by Charles Baudelaire is one of my favorite Gothic poems of all time. I will eventually do a Baudelaire on booze on that poem later on, now that I have my copy of Le Fleur du Mal back. Thank you, Kenny. Alma de Diciembre asks, or Diciembre, Spanish, Italian, French, who the hell knows? Sorry. What is your favorite Gothic book? Is there any other literary genre you like as well? Again, it's really hard for me to narrow it down to a favorite, like I said. In the previous comment I got here would be The Italian by Anne Radcliffe. And then, is there any other literary genre you like as well? Now, I do appreciate the works of William Shakespeare as far as his plays go and his poetry and everything like that, especially the Dark Lady poems. Those are quite exquisite. Quite. And raises kind of a mystery as to whom he was writing about. Very fascinating. And I also like mystery novels, murder mysteries, that sort of thing. Vampire No 84 asks, if you could go to Middle East, what country in Middle East would you will want to go? I would have to say Egypt. My boyfriend actually has gone to Egypt many, many years ago, and he said that he loved the experience over there. And I've always been fascinated with Egyptian culture. I've always wanted to see the ancient monuments and structures of ancient Egypt. So I definitely want to go to Egypt. Definitely. Okay, so Jenna G.Z. Lee asks, what's your favorite song? That, again, that is so hard to narrow down because it really just depends on the mood I'm in. It depends on if I'm going to be listening to classical music or to goth music or symphonic metal or anything like that. I have a really wide variety of taste when it comes to music. At the moment, I'm catching myself listening to a lot of Ego Likeness, which, oh my god, I love that band. But like I said, it's really hard for me to narrow it down to one song that I like. As far as goth music goes, lately, Persona non grata by Ego Likeness is my favorite, and then as far as classical music goes, lately it's been O mio Fernando by Donizetti because I'm learning it. So I have to keep listening to it to help it stick in my brain as far as memory is concerned. Astrid Aesthetic, hi honey, asks, what is your favorite piece that you've performed so far? That would be Il Dolce Suono from Lucia di Lammermoor by Donizetti. That is just so intense, and I really love portraying Lucia and her madness. I really do. I feel like there's not really a happy medium when it comes to performing as Lucia. I see a lot of performers like not really give it enough, kind of a deadpan sort of expression, which, okay, that's fine, I get it. You're supposed to kind of portray yourself in a daze, but then you also have the opposite end of the spectrum where you have these weird opera singers like, you know, not holding notes out to how it's written and rolling on the floor, and I'm just like, dude, what? Okay, dude, come on. And then I actually sang Il Dolce Suono at my most recent competition, which was back in November, and while I didn't make it to finals, I got a 90 out of my 3 scorecards from the judges, And two of my judges, are you ready for this, guys? Are you ready? Two of my judges stopped writing when I was singing Il Dolce Suono. If you can get a judge to look up from their paper, put their pencil down, and stop writing so that they can watch you and focus on your performance, that was the happiest moment of my life. Right, that right there. So that shows that my hard work paid off. Okay, Jennifer Barati asks, if you could become a mythical creature, what would it be? I'm torn between a vampire and a siren. I'm sure you guys can see that. Olivia Ellis asks, what books do you plan to read next? Can you show us a few of your favorite items of jewelry or clothing? You have such impeccable taste. Thank you, honey. I appreciate that. As far as books I plan on reading next, I have a whole stack of books that I have not yet gotten to. Hashtag book lover's curse. Now, one that I did finish recently is the Penny Dreadfuls from the 19th century, which was a Barnes & Noble collection. I will most likely be reviewing that one next because it's fucking awesome. And then, can you show us a few of your favorite items of clothing or jewelry? You have such impeccable taste. So one of my favorite ones I'm wearing right now is actually this Gothic Ankh by Alchemy Gothic. This ring, which is by Carol Brody, she did a whole special on HSN inspired by Crimson Peak, and this was part of the collection. My mom got it for me because she knows I love Crimson Peak. These earrings I'm wearing, which are by Crypt of Curiosities. Can't really see them from here, but it's a skull with a little black crystal hanging down from them. They're just gorgeous. And let me show you some clothing items that I absolutely adore. Alright, so this is one of my favorite dresses that I've ever gotten in my whole life. I actually found this in the Sela Goodwill, which is shocking. And so part of it is see-through, part of it isn't. Sheer sleeves and everything like that. It's slinky, it's sexy. It's kind of got like a 90s goth kind of vibe, and I really love it. It hugs my curves nicely, and it just makes me really happy. And then this is a skirt by Punk Rave that I actually found on Amazon for so much cheaper than what Punk Rave is selling it for on their own website. So it's absolutely gorgeous, has lace and ruffles and lots of like gray pinstripes and these gorgeous like silvery kind of buttons. Oh my god, it's absolutely amazing. And kind of a fishtail sort of pattern for the gown, like further down it goes. So I love that. Then another item that I really, really love is this other top by Punk Rave, and it has what I would refer to as kind of leg of mutton sleeves that were popular during the end of the 19th century, kind of transitioning into the Edwardian era. So it has kind of these puffy sleeves toward the top, and then toward the bottom you have this gorgeous like form-fitting black lace, and that's absolutely gorgeous. So pretty. And it's very feminine, very flirty, kind of sexy, and I really love it. I actually got this on eBay. You can, again guys, you can find really sweet deals for clothes by goth designers on eBay and Amazon for a lot cheaper than what you'd get them on their website. So go ahead and check that out. And then this is my all-time favorite dress, and you guys have seen me wear this for one of my performances as Lucia for my recital. And I just love the flattering kind of like ruched kind of detailing here in the front. And then it has, you can't really see it, but it has corset lacing in the back. It's absolutely gorgeous. And what else does it have? It goes all the way down to the floor. So much ruffle. It's so pretty. I can't take it. Oh, shit. That's what I get for getting excited. So yes, I definitely plan on wearing this for my debut recital, which is coming up in April of next year, by the way, guys. I'll give you more details as they come around. Yeah. So I will be wearing this for my debut recital. I'll consult my voice teacher about it and see if there's anything else I should wear over it. But she loves it, I love it, I think it's gorgeous. So those are some of my favorite clothing items that I love. Okay, my friend Michelle, hi, asks, how do you feel about the Vampire Kisses series? What's your favorite opera and favorite way to relax? Loaded questions there. So, first question, how do I feel about... So first question, how do I feel about the Vampire Kisses series? That was one of the series, like young adult series, that I loved reading when I was in junior high, and it made me feel not quite so alone as a goth. And here's why. Raven, the protagonist in the series, is the only goth in a small town. And I was pretty much the only goth in a small town as well, other than my best friend Gabby. And it kind of helped me to cope with being in such a small town. Also, it kind of made me long for bigger and better things that had something more to offer for people like me. So, yeah, I live in a small ass town of 7,500 people. Ew. And then she asks, what's your favorite opera? It's a three-way tie between Lucia de Lammermoor, Anna Bolena, and La Favorita by Donizetti. So, beautiful operas. Gorgeous. And favorite way to relax? I love burning some candles in my bathroom and getting into a really hot bath and having a glass of wine. That's my favorite way to relax. If I could do that every single night when I get home from work, I totally would. And Angela Benedict asks, have you experienced adversity as a goth from other goths for having a love of and being involved in opera and having such a fondness for literature? Yes! I certainly have! I have! So, yes, I absolutely have. When I first started voice training with my current voice teacher, Deb, who is awesome. Maybe one of these days I'll include her in one of my videos. Anyway. So when I first started studying with my voice teacher when I was about 16 years old, I was in a long-distance relationship with a goth who was from the Denver, Colorado goth scene. And I became friends with several of his friends and everything like that. And upon learning that I'm studying to be an opera singer, he was just like, oh, really? And I'm like, yeah, really? You got a problem? And he's just like, well, since you're a goth, you should be learning to sing in like post-punk, style music because you're goth and we gotta preserve the goth scene. I'm like, that's really conformist. Funny. That's really funny. And so I thought that that was completely ridiculous. Just like, seriously, I should learn to sing in post-punk just because I'm goth. I thought goth was about being an individual. Dude, deal with it. Also, he would constantly be suggesting ways to quote-unquote improve my look. And it got so annoying. Oh my god, you have no idea. He'd be like, oh, you should shave and tease your hair like this. Oh, you should dye your hair this color. Oh, you should wear this. You should wear that. You should get your nose pierced. And I told him, hey, sorry, I don't want to shave my head. I don't like teasing my hair. I don't want to get my nose pierced because it's going to interfere with my voice training. Oh, get it anyway. It would look better on you. You're such a conformist. Don't be such a conformist. And I'm like, okay, you telling me to get a nose ring because I look better with it just so I can fit in more with the subculture? How conformist is that? Okay? And then as far as literature goes, yes, I have gotten plenty of shit for having such fondness for Gothic literature. I actually had one person tell me, you're just making a big fuss about the literature because you don't know much about the music. Bitch! Really? Really? I'd like you to see my collection of goth music. Seriously. That's hilarious. Michael Peavy House asks, do you plan on writing any more books? Not at the moment. I don't really have that spark of inspiration for that quite yet. So, hopefully inspiration will strike me later on. Hopefully. Taryn Allen asks, why haven't you been over to the UK to visit yet? I will when I become a famous opera singer, okay, Taryn? Just cool it. Cosmic Rain asks, if you could be any animal, what animal would you be? This is kind of a no-brainer, pardon the pun, but I would totally be a raven. And here's why. I'm not saying that because, oh my god, ravens are so goth, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, first of all, I do like their mythological significance. I think it's really fascinating. in Native American culture and in European culture and Celtic culture and everything like that. I find the significance of the raven to be extremely fascinating, absolutely. And then on top of that, one thing that really blows my mind about ravens is that they are so intelligent. They are so intelligent. As a matter of fact, a lot of scientists and zoologists out there and everything are finding more and more evidence to suggest that ravens are probably one of the smartest animals on the planet. Hot damn. Wow, that's just so cool. And one example of how intelligent ravens are is they actually have been shown in many studies to have a larger vocabulary than parrots. Wow. And so, guys, ravens are so smart. Don't believe me, there is actually a documentary on PBS that's available on YouTube, actually, about ravens and how smart they are. That's really cool. You guys have just got to see it. It's awesome. Answered something like this already, but here it goes. Have you been in a situation, a more formal one, where you're trying to explain something that you feel is really important and people, instead of talking about that message, just tried to bully you for your appearance? How do you react? Which countries would you like to visit if you could? So in regard to that first question, yes, I definitely have been in a situation where I have been trying to discuss something that I think is important with people, and they just kind of take a step back and look at how I'm dressed, or look at my makeup, or look at my hair, or my jewelry or something, and then they focus on that and just like, why are you wearing that? How come you're going out in public like that? No one's going to take you seriously if you look like that. My voice teacher in college, she's such a bitch. She would say, no one's going to take you seriously if you have all those piercings or if you dress like that, No one is. And I'm like, okay, seriously, I'm trying really hard to train here to be an opera singer because it's my dream, and here you are berating me and putting me down. That's not cool. So basically, how do I react? I sometimes will become a little bit belligerent because that's my fiery Italian and Latina sort of nature, but the logical side of my brain will be like, something, these people have really short attention spans, they're judgmental, it's best to not waste your time on these people because they're not going to be listening to anything that you're saying anyway, so why bother? So obviously I'd love to go to England and Scotland, possibly Ireland. I'd love to go to France. Oh man, I'd love to go to Italy, and I'd love to go to Romania, and like I said before, I'd love to go to Egypt. But I would totally drink my way through Italy and France because of the wine regions there. Jennifer Rose Gittins asks, what were your favorite books when you were a kid? Apart from Gothic literature, what other genres do you read? So when I was a kid, some of my favorite books to read were the Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark books, which all of the kids made fun of me and kind of berated me for doing that, and I'm just like, dude, I like scary stuff, deal with it. And then I also loved reading the Goosebumps series, and then, like I said before, I loved reading the Vampire Kisses series by Ellen Schreiber. It was just made me feel a little comforted, you know what I mean? Apart from Becca Antonio Flores asks, if you were not pursuing an artistic career in opera, what would you want to do or be? I think I would take a lot of joy in being a private music teacher, whether it's teaching voice or teaching music theory or something like that. If not, then I think I'd enjoy being an actress. Just saying. Soleil asks, what's your dream city to live in? Oh, and how is Gabby doing? Gabby is my best friend. So, my dream city to live in, I'll narrow it down to a few. So, Seattle would be a wonderful city to live in, especially since the Seattle Opera is there. I'd love to live in New Orleans. I made so many friends down there, and I really can't wait to go back. New York, possibly. I'd love to go there as well. Now, as far as Europe is concerned, I'd love to live in Bergamo, Italy. I'd love to live in France, like if I can get some kind of like quiet community outside of Paris so I can easily go to Paris when I want to, that'd be great. And then I also would love to live in London, obviously, to get close to the metropolitan kind of opera area. So yeah, it's pretty rockin', yo. Hope you enjoyed this Q&A. I'm terribly sorry if it's long, but if you guys do want to leave more questions for me to answer in the future, and possibly another Q&A video, please leave them down in the comment section below. I'd love to answer those questions for you. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys learned something, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you guys later. Bye!